Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to this film review. Tonight we're reviewing a sort of folk horror, sort of medieval horror called Black Death, starring Sean Bean. Now this film's been out a number of years now and I've seen it a number of times, and it always seems to impress me when I watch it because it sort of characterizes a lot of great sort of elements of British horror that I love. Folk horror, sort of occult sort of horror, and also sort of religious horror. Because this film is based on a group of sort of like soldiers that I believe they sort of work for the church, and they go around sort of disproving people that do not believe in the church and God. And the country itself is going through devastation, or the Black Death, which in this time time of England and Europe was rife. And this was a horrible disease that obviously back in this time there was no such thing as any sort of cures or antibiotics or anything. So if you caught this, you were pretty much dead. And it was sort of spread by rats and stuff that came across on boats and stuff from country to country in sort of food crates and stuff like this. And people would eat the food, and obviously the food would be sort of soiled by the rats' sort of excrement and things like that. And people got ill, and it was spreadable. Like COVID, it was spreadable. And it's also the religious side of this film with a young sort of lad who plays this monk, who is not really a true monk because he's got a girlfriend. And he fears for her at the beginning of the film, and he sends her off on a horse and a package of food. So, look, get out of town or you're going to catch this and die. And she reluctantly goes, but says, look, I'm going to go to this place and wait for you 7 days, and if you do not turn up in those 7 days, that's it, I'm gonna move on. Anyway, the soldier, and he prays to the god, saying, please help me, please find a way, because he wants to be loyal to the church, but he also wants to be with his girlfriend. Please show me a way to where he can sort of like go and be with his girlfriend. And he gets that way because these soldiers turn up that's led by Sean Bean, and they want a monk who knows the route to this village, because it's this village that's supposed to have a necromancer that's been bringing back dead people to life, and they think that these dead people are carrying also this plague that's spreading around. So and they think this is the cause of the plague, when the fact is it's not, but they think it is, because obviously back in that day they wouldn't know. And so obviously our young monk seizes the opportunity and says, I'll go. And off they trot, literally on their horses, and there's like a team of like these sort of nomad sort of soldiers, and off they go to look for this village. And on their trip, they have loads of conversations about the illnesses that are spreading in the country and witchcraft and all this sort of thing. And they even come across a burning that's just about to take place of a woman who's accused of witchcraft. And now she isn't a witch, as the monk says, but Sean Bean sort of they go and intervene, but Sean Bean kills the woman. He says, like, I've saved her from suffering, because all that would have happened was, as soon as we were gone, they would have recaught her and burnt her. This way, he killed her with a knife, sort of slitting her throat. And so he believes he's done the good thing. And then after a while, they eventually arrive at this village. And this village is a very strange sort of village. It's a very kind of sort of cult village, where this like whole tribe of people are under this sort of power of this witch woman, who's sort of redhead witch woman, and there's got a man there who's a necromancer. And this whole village is sort of run by these two, and they run it like an occult, and there's no plague in this village. There's no one's been affected by this plague. And they trick our soldiers into sort of like welcome them into the camp, but they know why they're there. And then it comes to the point when they sort of drug the soldiers at night, and they then start torturing them and killing them one by one. And the girl of the monk that left the village is in the village, because apparently she was killed, and she's been resurrected by the necromancer, or had she been? You need to watch it and find out, because that's the only synopsis I'm going to tell you. So has the monk's girlfriend actually been killed and been resurrected, or are they drugging her to make it look like that, just so they can convince this monk to join their family, if you like? And what's going to happen to Sean Bean and the rest of the soldiers? You need to watch it and find out. What do I think of Black Death? It's an amazing film. It's a really good English medieval folk horror film with elements of witchcraft and the occult all chucked in just for jolly good fun. The pluses of the film is that it looks great. It would be really cool to this film got a little bit of a remaster. So it's been out sort of like in the early 2000s sort of thing. So it's been out a while, and so it could do like a remaster to 4K. But it still looks really cool, really well acted, a very strong cast, including the great late David Warner, and it's a really cool film. I'm going to score the film an amazing watch and give it an 8 out of 10. It's so cool. It's such a good film. There is some gore in there, because there are some torturous deaths in there, but it seems to cut away from the deaths when it gets to that gruesome part, which I'm like, oh, sort of thing. Which again is probably why it's only got an 8 out of 10 for me instead of like a 9. It's certainly not a 10 out of 10 film. It's not a sort of great, perfect masterpiece, but it's got elements that could have been a great masterpiece. But it just a little bit, I don't know. I think what happens is, because the film moves quite sort of slow, because you've got the road trip part of the film that lasts about nearly an hour. Then once they get to the village, it's almost kind of rushed through. You know, they're in the pub and they get drugged, and then they're all sort of captured and tied up, and then they're killed one by one. It's like, slow it down a bit. You know, give us a bit more story about the village, about the history of this village. How, and this, is this a witch? Is it a necromancer? It would be good to have this sort of thing sort of shown to us. Even show us some more sort of ritual, sort of like symbols or anything like that, just to give it that sort of like really sort of eerie, spooky feel. And I think the last 20 minutes was rushed, and to get to the end almost, I think they might have thought this film's going to be too long, so let's do this, and then but yeah, it's really cool, and it's a good ending to the film. And in the ending is sort of kind of a little bit narrated, and again, I think maybe they were tight on time or budget or whatever, but I think that was another element that maybe lost it a point for me. But apart from that, it's a really great film. Black Death, 8 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you think of it. It's a cool film, and Sean Bean seems to reinvent his role from Game of Thrones. It's a very similar sort of character. Obviously, it was filmed around the same time as these series were being filmed, and he's very, very typecasted in this sort of role in this film. But it was cool, really good. And the best of the cast was really cool, and it's good to see David Warner in one of his sort of latter roles of his career, which is really good. Guys, till my next video, please check out some other horror channels. Check out Horror Hands, The Horror Geek, Man v Film, RS Design, Pizzawell, I Am Ice Lord, Count Watches Horror Movies, Grumpy Andrew's Haunted House, and a massive shout out to the lad. Till next time, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I'll see you all soon.